the league play on the front foot, I'd call that a huge, success.
So let's
I should say, we'll wrap that game up. But just for our listeners that don't know, I'm sure everybody probably does. But because of that win, Minnesota United, they're going to be in their first quarterfinal match ever, and that's going to be at Allianz Field, July 10th against New Mexico United. The USL Championship,
which makes it MNUFC versus NM.
Yes.
Which I think is fantastic.
I'll probably bungle that up a few times as we talk about.
It's just shortly, guys. It's a very exciting thing for us to play a lower division team,
right? Hopefully,
and have them come to Allianz.
Hopefully,
and they knocked off 2 MLS sides to get to Allianz. They beat Colorado, and then they beat Dallas.
Yep. So. And I try not to get arrogant over this because they have beaten 2 MLS teams. I think it's just going to be really cool for them.
Yeah.
They get to come here and play in a real stadium, unlike the Rapids in Dallas.
Real question. This is a question for myself and our listeners as well. I want to know why the game was in Texas when New Mexico United beat Dallas.
Yep.
But the game was not at their normal MLS stadium. It was at a college, SMU.
Yeah, there was
something
something going on. I don't know.
Okay, there was another event probably.
Something.
That was my question. Yeah,
which is another example of how we need to take
it more serious.
Because I wasn't in Madison with you guys, I think we're going to bring it up. The fact that this Open Cup is the way it's kind of set up is it's not good for American soccer.
No, and I agree. We should be going down to New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
We should be playing there.
Mm-hmm.
They should have had 3 straight home games, in my opinion. Colorado should have been there. Dallas should have been there. We should be there.
It's funny that you say that. Like the Houston match, that U.S. Open Cup match between MNUFC and Houston. That was Houston's 7th U.S. Open Cup home game in a row. They all 5 of their matches last year on their way to they were the champions of the U.S. Open Cup last year. All 5 of their matches were at home. All 5.
And I believe that's because I could be wrong about this, but I believe it's because they use MLS standings to determine the MLS home team.
But again,
which I think again is stupid because you need to take the leagues out of U.S. Open.
Exactly. There's so many things I can do right now about the Open Cup and how they've mismanaged it and all that type of stuff. I mean, MLS shouldn't be coming in at this time. There should be other things going on. It's annoying to me.
Yeah, and we touched on that, like you said, in Madison. But I mean, you could go on. And I mean, but we're talking about the same things 2 weeks later because it's still an issue.
It's annoying. It's annoying as hell. Yeah. And New Mexico should have the opportunity to play a game against an MLS team in their home stadium. They should. We don't need the ticket sales from this game.
Right.
Or the vendor stuff. We don't need that. New Mexico does.
Exactly.
And they would sell that game out, and they would sell a lot of beer and a lot of merchandise if we were down there.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
And that's the thing. If you have a stadium, I don't know what they hold in Albuquerque.
Well, I can tell you roughly. I know for a fact they're averaging roughly 14,000 people per game.
Okay.
See? Yeah, I actually heard it. I heard it on the broadcast yesterday.
I
couldn't tell you off the top.
I couldn't
tell you off the top of my head.
They must play at a college, though.
They've got to be near Albuquerque, I would say, for those kind of numbers.
And I mean, it's one of those things where, maybe they like their team, obviously, because they're averaging that big of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But let them see MLS teams.
Exactly.
I mean, why would you not want that? And we brought this up in the last episode, where it's nice to see Chelsea and Arsenal and Tottenham and Manchester City and Manchester United and Liverpool head off to these other teams like Derby and Portsmouth and Huddersfield Town. And,
it's a boost. It's a boost for those teams.
I mean, that's what you should be doing. In England, they don't need to build the sport in England. My God, they have 7 divisions.
We do here, though.
Yeah,
we do here, and that's what I don't get is like you get all these MLS teams in these last rounds, and then you have like nobody left from lower leagues.
Right.
So it just becomes an MLS tournament is what it is.
Exactly.
And you're not getting any teams going to these minor league stadiums. You're not getting the fan. It's just stupid.
And generally speaking, in England in the FA Cup or even the League Cup, it ends up being Premier League teams.
Of course it does.
But not always.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it definitely not, those like the semifinals, there's usually a championship team. Mm-hmm. I want to say there's a League One team that made it pretty far in the last couple of years in England. And that's cool. You want to see that. Obviously there's a big talent difference between,
of course,
the third division in England and the third division in the United States. They're much more competitive compared to comparatively to the Premier League and Championship. But still, it's just makes sense to be that. Yeah. They shouldn't be playing. New Mexico should not be traveling to Minnesota. Minnesota should be traveling to Albuquerque.
That's right.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there are going into the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup? There are 2 USL Championship teams left. New Mexico United being the first, obviously,
and then St. Louis.
St. Louis. Is that a first for this tournament?
I think
it might be just
that.
because of how they, they kind of rebranded. The lower tiers of American soccer, but
I'm pretty sure you're right. I think I read that that was the first time they've made it that far.
Yeah. But what a big coup it would be if one of those teams won the whole damn thing. I mean, it would be great.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind it if we lost.
Yeah.
If it was to some MLS team, I'd have an issue. But it is what it is. Fantastic if somebody can make a Cinderella run.
Yeah, let the Cinderella win, man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's too bad they'll play in an MLS stadium after.
Yeah, So I just want to bring that up a little bit, guys.
Yes.
So let's move on to last night's game.
Good God.
Yeah.
Because we're playing FC Cincinnati, and my first thought about this game was we should win it handily.
Right.
My second thought was this could be a trap game because we lower our guard because Cincinnati sucks. I mean, they're terrible.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we lower our guard and be like, well, we should be able to, and then we lose 2-1 or something like that.
Something has to give, and it's another, maybe, again, we're talking about the U.S. Open Cup and transitioning back into league play. Well, guess what? It was hot in Houston, but it was hot at Allianz yesterday as well. I think
pretty much the same.
Well,
similar conditions.
Still, you didn't go because it was so hot.
Well, no, that's not true.
That's true.
I didn't go because I decided to do work on my house.
And it was hot.
I had a seat under the canopy.
It was hot. It was hot.
I remember freezing my butt off. I guess we have the explicit tags. I might as well say what I was thinking. But anyways, I remember for the opener sitting in your wonderful seats, David, but just thinking, oh, it's so cold, it's so cold. And then I was thinking, oh, but in the middle of summer, this is going to be nice because you're going to have that breeze coming off. Yeah. You're going to be shielded by the overhang. Yeah. Like if you were going to watch a game in 95 degrees weather like it was yesterday or close to it, your seats would have been probably the seats.
Yeah, and I had a culmination of, I could do stuff down in my basement, which I put my door in.
Well, yeah, you saw your door.
And then 2, every major highway was under construction and closed. Yeah. And then 3... there were issues with bus lines and train lines, and I was like, you know what? It is hot.
It was hot,
and there's so much junk going on. I could use the extra hour each way to, just stay home and.
Plus, he got some money out of the deal. So.
Yeah,
I got to watch it in a cool basement.
Yeah, you did. Well, yeah.
I had mentioned, I obviously wasn't at the game. I was in Eau Claire last night, but I was excited because this game was nationally broadcast. It was on ESPN, so I knew, the reception was at 6 p.m. I knew I made a point of going to Eau Claire early so I could get to my hotel and watch the full game. And
we'd never won on ESPN.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I suppose we drew against MNUFC in the opener, but but something had to give, right? Because we were talking about our 3-game winless streak in league play. Cincinnati had lost 5 games in a row, 10 of their last 11 actually. So really something had to give.
But the thing is that when this game started, the first 10 minutes, the Loons came out. They were putting pressure on them.
In the first 10 minutes.
Just hitting them up.
And then it changed.
And then it did. Changed. We will bring that up because it started out great and then it did flip. And actually the best opportunity in the first maybe 20 minutes of the game was created by Cincinnati.
They did,
and I tweeted out from our account around minute 15-ish that I felt like it must be. I said it must be hot because there are a lot of heavy legs, and they're all on Minnesota side.
That's right.
And again, just like Houston, I don't know what happened, but apparently they shook those heavy legs off.
But
before we pat them on the back too much, I have to bring up Cincinnati is incredibly shorthanded. So much so that I think they only had 5 subs available.
They had 15 guys. No, they had 15 guys total. That was it.
Yeah, so they had a very limited 4, maybe 4
they had 4
subs.
subs. That was it.
But they had 9 players of their senior roster were unavailable for a variety of reasons, injuries, call-ups. I think there was 1 suspension, and they made the point on the broadcast. I couldn't tell you Cincinnati's roster up and down off the top of my head, but they made the point on the broadcast of saying that 8 of those players missing, were potential starters.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were a short-handed side.
And this was another thing that I was like, they had 2 18-year-olds starting. And I was thinking, the same as you, Tony, this is turning into trap game. Because I said in our text, we should win this.
We should.
No doubt.
But after that first 10 minutes of us kind of pressuring, what I saw from Cincinnati was they just kept possession.
Yep.
Back and forth. We couldn't get the ball back. And we got the ball back, we'd give it up.
Yep.
And it was. I'm going, this is going to be one of those damn games where they keep possession all the time. We make mistakes. They're going to score a freaking goal, and it's going to be 1-0 because we can't do shit.
And it almost should. Manone made a tremendous save early, but the crossbar kind of saved him as well. If it wasn't for Manone, it would have been a goal, but then the crossbar kind of helped as well. Otherwise, it would have been 1-0 Cincinnati.
And that was one of the 18-year-olds that had that shot. It was... I completely agree. It was a trap game waiting to happen. And, I was a bit worried come about minute 17.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? We're not doing anything. We're not really controlling any possession. It's just not.
No, we're doing shit.
I could see one of your nervous texts was, "Oh, I'm not impressed with Finley right now."
Finley. He
this is early
made
on
up
in the
for
game,
himself, but early on it was kind of like he had a couple, missed runs.
There was a run.
He did a couple heavy touches. It was just kind of like, come on, what are you doing?
There was a run from Dotson he made where Dotson kicked it. Finley had a nice run. He kicked it, it on the feed. It was a bad run. But then we get our buddy Jan Gregus, or Gregus, or whatever you want.
Gregus.
I
don't know. You
know.
say Gregus, I say Gregus.
Yeah, pretty much.
I say Gregus. Actually,
I do know that the S has an accent on it.
It might be
so
Gregus.
It should be
Gregus.
I'm guessing,
but it's not Grey Goose.
No.
Because that's
it's not Grey Goose.
That's what the Minnesota United announcer, he calls him Grey Goose.
And I didn't know that he had an accent. Well, he has an accent on his A in Jan.
Yeah.
And then he has an accent on the S. And I think he has an accent on the E, too.
Yeah. And I think if you want to see what we're talking about, you can check our Twitter feed because I'm pretty sure you had it nailed
I did
on
it right.
Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, saying that Wikipedia is correct.
Okay. Fair enough.
Can you trust me?
I'm going to assume that that's written by someone from his home country.
I would hope so.
I don't know that that's the case.
What you're leading into, Tony, I think was happened in the 18th minute.
Yeah, the curl.
Off a free kick.
Which I thought it was going to be a corner because the ball had gone out, but then they said it was a free kick because there was a foul.
He was fouled earlier.
Yeah, so I thought it was a corner.
Yeah.
And they called a foul, which I initially thought maybe it was a handball.
Yeah, it was weird, but it doesn't matter because Jan gets it, and he had one thing he could do with that ball.
Yep.
Curl it. And as we've said on this podcast before, having Jan take kicks like these, having set pieces, much better than Darwin.
And that's why they brought him in.
Yeah,
well,
much better than Darwin.
And kick, this wasn't exactly long range, but he has that ability. We've seen it before on his long range blasts, and this wasn't quite as long range, but that beautiful curled motion. And we talk about the goal. I thought he scored.
Yeah, so did I.
Even after replay after replay after replay that they showed, I actually wrote my notes. Goal, Jan Gregus, 18th minute, curled in.
And Andy Greeter, I think it was, I want to credit the right person, I'm pretty sure it was him, said that Iko Para didn't feel the ball at all.
No, I'm sure he didn't.
So,
because it hit.
There was also they were joking that it went off his balls.
Well, it went off his. It went off lower.
But
down.
I thought